but they're going to doorstep next year. So I can do this.
Okay,
Yes.
awesome, good for you. All right,
But I wanna know how to do this.
I'm actually, we'll talk about tracking. What I recommend to people is that you keep one of these sheets handy for yourself and you track, just manually, right?
Mhm.
So you could make a check mark right today is Wednesday, and you just, had one conversation,
Me that before.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's right here. Okay,
Yes.
I'll do it.
And then we can show you, and Nicole could certainly show you how to get into the Locker Room Core site where you're going to track your numbers on a monthly basis or
Okay.
weekly basis.
I'll
however
ask her to do that next time.
Yes, that would be great. So that would, forgive me if I don't remember, but that would mean you haven't attended an essentials orientation. Did you attend the essentials classes?
Mm-hmm.
You did.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one? You attended the first one? Okay, so in any case,
Yeah.
let's see if we can't get you up on that. And I might do it for the whole essentials
Yeah,
class.
the other binder.
Yeah, the other binder, but did I show you guys a video about how to get into?
Well, you know, it
Core.
was just before October, and thank you. I think you said wait because Command is coming online.
Yeah, no, that I wouldn't have done that because
No.
this is Core is totally separate from
Okay.
Command.
There's
so
a lot of little things.
there's a lot of little pieces, so it's okay. We'll talk about it when we're done with Ignite and go on with our essentials because we're going to do a couple of essential sessions to talk about learning how to write a contract.
Okay.
Yeah, and practicing contracts. So that's exactly what we're talking about today, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Do you want me to press this?
Did you press that already? Is it on? Okay, she already did that. Okay, so I'm on page 9, and offer is the process of moving from a buyer or seller agreement to a sales contract. So it's very exciting. And if you represent the buyer, your searching has paid off, and your client has finally found the home of their choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you represent the seller, you're diligently marketed the property and have received an offer from a prospective buyer. So in either case, we need to work with this contract. So here we are in our funnel, and we are at this crucial and fabulous point. This is actually, from a realtor standpoint, the most exciting moment in real estate. It is when you actually can sit down with somebody and write a contract and make an offer. That's when the excitement really starts. So it's this is a wonderful, wonderful moment in real estate. So when you've got an offer, obviously your point is that this is to remember that this is a major financial decision for your clients and can be a highly emotional experience, right? So back to this idea that us being calm and knowing what to do is what they look for and what they count on. And so our goal is to bring the two parties together and to arrive at a sales contract in which both parties win. I love that. That's right. That's like our Y4C2Ts up there. Starts with win-win or no deal.
Yeah.
So making it happen. So here is, I'm on page 11, and I'm just going to read that paragraph. When a buyer has found the home they want to purchase and the seller is looking forward to concluding the sale in their property, the fun and magic begins. Whether you're representing the buyer or seller, this is another opportunity for you to shine. And here's basically how this works. Over on the left in this circle, the buyer makes an offer, and the seller responds to that offer in one of 3 ways. They either counter the offer, they accept the offer, or they reject the offer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, rejecting an offer just means that the buyer agent contacts the listing agent to learn more. In other words, don't assume no is no. That's really good advice. Sometimes what happens is a buyer makes a lowball offer, and the seller says, I'm not responding to that offer. I need a better offer for me to even respond. That's not no, that's get me a better offer. So calling the agent to find out why did your, seller say no or not respond at all.
Don't assume.
Yeah, don't assume no means no. It just means the offer wasn't good enough, right? Yeah. Accepting the offer, well, that's fantastic, and that's actually our goal. How do I write this offer so that I have the greatest chance of acceptance, right? And yeah, if we write an offer that is attractive and appealing to the seller and they go, that's what we wanted, you've got a deal and you can go on to opening escrow and closing the transaction. Most likely is a counteroffer. That's probably the one most common. And that means now you're gonna go into a negotiation, right? So and this is another place where the emotions are high, like, oh, counteroffer, now what do we do? And again, for us to stay calm and help our clients through that process and feel confident in our negotiating skills is really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I hear this phrase, and it's not to make light of it, but just to be like, let's talk turkey. I know it sounds silly, but I've heard my husband, who is kind of a negotiator by trade, he said, let's talk turkey.
Let's talk
You
turkey.
know, like everybody's got a price, let's just find it.
Yeah.
You disagree? No, it's okay.
Well, here's the thing. So, my lesson in real estate has been that if you go to have a verbal conversation with a seller,
So no, I was talking to your buyer. Like, look, that's okay. This is part of how
right.
operation is done.
Yes, that's right. We're going to go back and forth a little bit, right?
To bring down the high emotions.
Yes, and also bring down impatience.
Yeah.
Because what they'd like to do is, well, can you just find out what they want? We go, no, that's not what we're going to do, because we want to forward what you want. So what are you willing to offer on this property? We now see that he's not willing to come down that far. Where are you willing to go to start this negotiation? That's more reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
Let's make another offer. So we change the offer, we come up $20,000, whatever, right, the number might be that's acceptable. And now the seller comes back and says, okay, I'll respond to that one, but I'm only coming down $5,000, and you're still $30,000 apart. What do you do now? Do you call the other agent and say, what's it gonna take to get this deal? No. You try again. You say, okay, so $20,000 didn't do it. Are you willing to offer another 10 to come closer? And then you would only be $20,000 apart, and let's see where he goes with that. Okay, let's do another 10. So now you do another 10, and you have to wait and be patient, and now the seller comes back and says, okay, I'm gonna do another 10, and that's it. That's not as far as I'm gonna go. So now you're $10,000 apart, I think, in that scenario.
I got you.
I got lost somewhere. So at the $10,000 apart, you can say to your buyer, are you willing to go to the full 10,000, or do you wanna try 5? And this depends on whether they have the patience to try 5, right? Some people are very like, I'm not budging, that 5, absolutely, let's try for 5. Or other people go like, I can't stand this. And now you talk about, what's $5,000 in mortgage payment cost you?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that, right? So $5,000 in a mortgage payment costs about $25 a month.
Yeah. Mm.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah.
Do you want to, right? We can try it, but I just want to say, if the seller doesn't budge, now what if he budges, you put in the 5, and now the seller says, okay, I'll come down $2,500, meet me. You'll have gotten $2,500, right? And every little bit counts. So my lesson has been to go slowly.
Mm-hmm.
If you leap forward or leap down, you will never know, because you will never know if you didn't ask.
So that's 4 counters.
That's 4.
Mm-hmm.
Gets confusing. You gotta really pay attention. You gotta make sure you know what you're doing. But does that happen? You bet that happens. And I far prefer it, because if you were to call the agent and say, okay, my buyers want to offer, you go up to whatever it is. And the listing agent goes to their seller and says, so the buyer's agent has called me and they want to know if you'll accept. it's really easy for the seller to go, oh no, I'm not entertaining that. Whereas if they see it in writing,
Mm-hmm.
right, and they see a signature on it, and they have 24 hours to think about it, they are more likely to go, oh God, okay, let's see here. And now there's a conversation. It's just slowing the process down and not allowing our heightened emotions to make our decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're trying to achieve by doing it in writing.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean that sometimes agents don't talk, but it's just talk.
Mm-hmm.
It's not worth anything until it's in writing,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, yeah, so that's part of the negotiation that would happen when a counteroffer. So I just leapt forward a little bit. So let's go back a little bit, because we first need to talk about preparing an offer, right?
Mhm.
So what do we do when we have to prepare to write an offer? You want to be fully prepared so you can work quickly and efficiently when you actually begin writing it. So which steps can be completed well before the offer itself? What do you think those are? Anything come to mind?
Making sure your client's getting a good price.
So pricing,
Value.
evaluating the
Mhm.
price, so doing a comparative market analysis.
Mm-hmm.
What else?
Making sure they're actually getting what they pay for, that the inspection is done well.
Well, that you can't do that. So
Oh, right, not till the
that
next
you're
step.
writing an offer. What
Yeah.
what do you need to do before you write the offer?
Oh, make sure it's still available.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Or
Here in
not
this
under
market.
contract or anything else.
Yeah, you know, if you've looked at something 3 days ago and finally decided to make an offer, you would want to double check. If it's still active in the MLS, chances are it is still available, although they might have received another offer, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, that's a good one for sure. Let's take a look at this checklist, and what are some other elements that we want to consider before we write the offer. So what's the first one say? You read that.
Obtain the buyer's pre-approval letter from their lender. Your client's offer will be more attractive to the seller if a pre-approval letter is submitted at the same time.
Can you see the value to that? So
Yeah.
here's buyers often say, why do I need that, right? Why can't I just make an offer? Or they ask all sorts of questions like this. This is my favorite script. It goes like this. Okay, I hear what you're saying. So imagine yourself selling. Like you just are about to sell your home in the mainland, right, in order to move here. So you'll be able to relate to this. So you're selling your property and you receive 2 offers. And one of them, they're pretty much identical offers, but one of them has a pre-approval letter attached to it and the other one doesn't. The other one says, we'll get you that in 5 days. Which offer are you likely to accept?
First guy.
Right? Like that. That script works with everything in,
Yeah,
like
no,
when
that's so
people
good.
are resistant, right?
Uh-huh.
So you'll hear me say it again. I will remind you, but it is a great script for helping people relate. I read somewhere that human beings are actually not very good at empathy. We have to work at being empathetic, right?
Mhm.
And this helps people become empathetic. And there's nothing like knowing the other side in order to be able to respond appropriately, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. All right, next one says produce a comparative market analysis. So this is already what you were talking about. You want to make sure. Now, here's what happens a lot is your buyers have been looking and they are probably more familiar with this market segment than you are because they've gone to every open house, they've looked at everything online, they are fully aware, and they probably already have something in mind. If your buyers can't find what they're looking for, and they have been looking over a long period of time, now you want to make sure what's the market doing, is it going up, is it going down, to check back in, right? But oftentimes if they're buying something that they've just seen and they've just looked at 6 other things, they have a pretty good sense. Now what we want to tell them is what are things selling at, right? What is actually sold and what has actually gone into escrow. So helping them come to an offer price is our objective by doing a comparative market analysis. I'm just surprised at how often even buyers have a number in mind, when they go in. So now our job is to say, that's really low. Imagine yourself a seller and you've been living in this house for 5 years and you get a really lowball offer. How does that make you feel?
Well, angry.
Thank you. So the question is, do we want to anger the seller?
Yeah.
So you can see this script is really helpful to help a buyer understand, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, somebody else might say to you when you do that script, and then they can say, well, I don't care. And now I go, I think we need to care, because you're going to be in negotiation with this person, and this person's going to react to you, right? So how would you like him to react? Do you want him to get pissed off, right, at your first offer, and then you come back and make another offer, and this person's already got an attitude? And that's what happens.
I know.
So my job is to make you aware of that. If you, insist on making that offer, we'll make the offer for you, but I'm just letting you know, this is what happens.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would feel flattered even. And I think maybe sellers take too much the offer personally.
Well, this is their home.
Yeah.
They've
They're
been living
pride
in
in
it for 22 years. They've done whatever,
Yeah, they love it. They want to give it to somebody who loves it.
Yes, there's
Who wants
that.
to pay
And
top
there's
on it.
even people who say that house is worth more, or the unit, even if they're investors. People have a price in mind, and as long as it's within the market range, right, it's reasonable. If it's overpriced, we're going to make a case for this is overpriced.
Yeah.
All right, review the tax record. So reviewing the tax record is valuable because the tax record is going to tell you what is there, what the government says is there, right? And it also tells you what the taxes are and that they're being paid, so your client knows, okay, here's your taxes that you're going to be paying on this. So pulling the tax record is always a good thing to do. You also get a sketch of the house, and you get the property, so you get a map of the property. So it's a good thing to pull, just gives you more information.
Not at like Maui.gov?
That's correct. It's also right on our Clarity dashboard.
Oh,
Have you
okay.
taken a Paragon class yet?
Not yet.
Okay, so you'll be taking the next one hopefully.
Oh, I will, yeah.
Yeah. Great, I'll see you there. All right, do the next one.
Ensure the property is still available before spending any time preparing an offer. Even if your MLS indicates the listing is active, contact the listing agent to let them know that your client is considering making an offer. If it's off the market, let your buyer know immediately and promptly begin the search for another home.
Right, that's not as likely as, oh yes, I'm expecting another offer, or I've just received an offer, or if you ask the question about, well, how many showings have you had? Could you see the value of knowing whether they've had, well, I've had no showings in this week. Or if he says, I've had a lot of showings. I had 3 yesterday, I have 2 scheduled for today, and I have a couple scheduled for the weekend. Could you see how that might change your offer?
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
If you've got a property that nobody else is interested in, don't talk about it because word gets out. But if you've got a property nobody else is interested in, you're free to negotiate, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
If you've got a property that a lot of buzz is going on about, you might want to be a little more generous in your offer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. To make because you never know. And then you want to stay in touch to make sure that if the listing agent got another offer, that they keep you in mind and let you know, right?
Uh-huh.
And so now they know that you're writing an offer. It's good. There's no need to keep a secret.
Uh-huh.
There's just no need for that.
Mm-hmm.
Like people say, should I tell him? Yes, it's okay to let him know, right?
Uh-huh.
Now what he might do, he or she, they might call other people that are interested and say, I'm expecting an offer. It's not likely. They're not going to do that until they've gotten an offer.
Uh-huh.
And then they might go shop for other offers, making sure, just letting you know, you were interested in the property, I've received an offer.
Because they still have like 3 days or.
Whatever number of days,
Yeah, whatever.
we'll get to that, because that's a crucial
Mhm.
decision as to how long to give them, right? Okay, next one is, when speaking with the listing agent, build rapport and gather as much information about the seller and the property as you can. Asking questions, why are they selling? When do they need to get out?
Right.
Is there,
Tantalizing bits that might help your.
yeah, you might as well write an offer that addresses the fact that, oh, they need 60 days to get out.
Yeah.
Okay, fine, we'll write you a 60-day offer, no problem. And they might say, are there any repairs that they're doing, or is there anything that they're including or taking with them? Yes, they are gonna take the refrigerator. What? Okay, this doesn't happen a lot, but just as an example. Or let's say it's a vacation rental condo and it's fully furnished, but they're taking the painting over the master bedroom bed, and your client loves the painting over the master bedroom bed. Now you're going to end up negotiating over this painting, right? Hopefully your buyer can just let go of it, but sometimes stuff like that happens and we end up having to negotiate those elements, right? So finding out from the listing agent as much as you can about the seller. So that kind of goes with the next one, asking questions of the listing agents to discover what's important, find out their time frame, motivation for moving. This allows you to customize the buyer's offer to address the seller's most pressing needs. And then the next one, inquiring about the activity on the property, right? Same, this is you can see we're knowing as much as you can about the seller and about what's going on around the property is to your advantage. Yeah. Read the next one.
Obtain a seller's disclosure statement, which provides details on any physical problems with the property of which the seller is aware.
Yeah, that's a very interesting suggestion. I personally like to post the seller's disclosure right onto the listing, which you can add documents into the MLS, right? Because I would rather a buyer knows whatever there is to have disclosed about the property than not, because now they're going to make an offer knowing that, and they don't come back and say, well, I didn't know this. Well, yes, you did. So there's something in our culture here that agents are reluctant to release sellers' disclosures until people are in escrow. I don't understand that. So you may get some resistance to that, but it's always worth asking.
Yeah.
Right?
I totally agree.
Yeah, so if you can get it, that is a great thing to do. And then last one is find out if there are or have been other offers. Again, we talked about that. You can see the value of, oh, you've received another offer. Oh, okay. So now, just see here, I just want to make sure I don't get too far ahead. Okay. Let's go on. Writing the offer. Keep these guidelines in mind and use the checklist on the previous page as you write the offer. When you take the Zip Forms class that we offer here, we also give you a sheet that says what to do before you write an offer. So we actually have a little checklist for you also. But these are great things to keep in mind. And I love to remind agents, this sounds a little strange because real estate is really, because we do the same thing over and over again, the more you depend on checklists, the better off you are. It sounds odd, but
no, I love lists.
Right. And so creating your own lists is what separates you from other realtors. So we don't give you lists, we talk about them and I encourage them, and here is a list. So I would mark this in my to-do binder or to-do notebook somewhere and say, to create lists, go to Ignite page 15 of chapter 9 for writing an offer list, right? It's just, and then you can shorten it or do whatever, or take the one that we give you and add on to it. The point is if you're always on the lookout for a list, there are lists for everything. You can do a list for open house, you can do a list for taking a listing, preparing to do a listing presentation, taking a listing, marketing your listing, right?
Yeah.
Like, what are all these things that I have to do? And over time, you will add to them and build in your level of service and your personal touch of what it is you do.
Mhm.
The only way to make sure that you do those is through a list.
Mhm.
So when I think I can live without my lists, sure enough, I found myself at a listing presentation about I guess a year ago at this point. And I'm sitting there talking to them and I say, well, you got my pre-listing packet, right? Did you have a chance to look at that? And they go, we didn't get a pre-listing packet. And I wanted to just die. I neglected to send that because I didn't use my checklist, right?
Yeah.
Because I like using pre-listing packets. So anyway, keep that in mind. Wherever you are, there's lists potentially everywhere.
Yeah, scripts and lists.
Scripts and lists. That's
Everywhere.
it. Everywhere. Okay, these are kind of some transactional related things. The first one says making sure your client understands that the money that is called earnest money deposit needs to be deposited right within 2 days after acceptance usually. And that's how we write our contract. And so making sure people are aware that this money, what that is, that it stays in an escrow account and that it's being held, and that if they choose to cancel the transaction, as long as they do it within the time frames identified in the contract, they'll get their money back, right?
Mm-hmm.
What becomes an issue is if they approve everything along the way and then suddenly change their mind and now want to get out of the deal and they've approved everything. That would put that money into jeopardy.
Mm-hmm. And that money shows up on their statement at closing.
That's
Like
part of
that.
that's part of their down payment.
Yeah.
Yes, it's called earnest money, right? I'm earnest, I'm serious about
Yeah.
this. Yeah, and so when we write an offer, that money does communicate that. So same thing again, well, how much should we put down? Well, you're buying a $500,000 home, and it depends on how serious you want to make the statement that you want this home. That's what this money communicates. Same script. You're selling your home, you get 2 offers that are identical. One has a $10,000 earnest money deposit and the other one a $5,000 earnest money deposit. Which one are you more likely to accept? Everything else being even.
10.
Right? It just communicates a more serious intent, earnestness.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we use that money here, is to communicate that. Sometimes people will put like, I'm gonna put $25,000 down, I'm that serious. Like they wanna make that impression.
Mm-hmm.
Then they might not make a second earnest money deposit because our system has an opportunity for a second deposit.
Mm-hmm.
But often we do like 10 and 10 or 5, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty normal for us. Yeah, having your laptop or do you have a laptop? Great, no, you don't need to pull it out now. It's just a good thing to bring with you and have there. So if you do need to change things on a contract, however, you always want to have your broker review your contract before you meet with your client, so that your broker's already made changes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then if you need to change something, well, you can modify it. So when your buyer makes an offer, they're essentially selling themselves to the homeowner. A cover letter makes your client's offer stand out and serves the following purpose. It summarizes the offer, right? You can do that. I don't like to. So in some examples in Ignite, I believe I've seen where people say in their cover letter, we're offering you $500,000 with $20,000 earnest money deposit and closing in 45 days. Right, but that leaves out all the other little things that I've done to make the offer more attractive, potentially, so I don't actually do that. I prefer that somebody look at the whole offer. So that's my preference. Other people totally do that. So totally up to you, right?
Mhm.
But then you want to talk about how much the buyers love this property. Oh my gosh, we've been looking for 3 months and we finally came across this property. We're so excited. The buyers just love it. They can't wait to spend a lot of time here and enjoy Maui, blah, blah, blah. You could talk about the buyers and talk about, the fact that they want to raise their children there. However, now you're getting into fair housing laws issues. Because if you're competing with somebody else, if there is another offer, for you to pull a family card, right, is familial status. We're not allowed to discriminate based on familial status. People are known to write their own cover letters and to put a picture of the family. I recently had an agent who contacted me and asked about that, and I said, please reject the letter and send it back to the the buyer's agent and say, I'm sorry, I can't forward this. If you would like to tone down the reference to family and a picture of them, that would be great, right? So you can imagine there's a gay couple making an offer and a family of blonde-haired, blue-eyed people. You go, this is, is not right. So we're not allowed to do that. So we need to look out for that. But you can say lots of things. We so appreciate the beautiful kitchen that you've designed. The buyers love to cook and entertain, and so they're going to be thrilled to be using that kitchen. You just said nothing about
who they are.
Yeah. So, and finding the thing to compliment the seller about is what you're looking for. If you notice that the yard was particularly well cared for, talk about that. I just sold a unit that hasn't been renovated in 20 years. What can you say about that? You obviously love this unit, and I can feel from the energy that
It's been well loved.
It's been well loved, and you've had a lot of good times here,
That's good.
right? So we just become creative in figuring out how to compliment. So humanizing the offer somehow without getting into fair housing issues. It says here to get into a loop, don't. So what it's referring to is, our technology allows us to invite the escrow officer into our transaction file online, and you can invite the buyer in, and you can invite the listing agent in and give them different levels of access to the documents you have in there. And the truth is that everybody's got this capacity on different sites with different programs. And so we don't use any of them because I'm not about to learn your site too.
Yeah.
Just
Overwhelming.
overwhelming. So we still tend to